everyone, welcome back to Linux Weekly, daily Wednesdays where we sit back, relax, take that midweek break, talk about some of the fun things going on in the world of Linux and open source. I'm Old Man Vin, joined every week by Jill Bryant, everybody watching us live over here on YouTube at LinWDW. Ooh,
yes.
See, I told you it'd take me about a month. Take me about a month, Jill.
Yes, it did.
So we're getting there. We're getting there. Little baby steps. Plenty to talk about this week. FireWire's dead, but Linux is still hanging on to it. Fedora's made an announcement about 32-bit support. Flathub has a very high number that they want to tell you about. And somebody walked by a really expensive mixing console and did the thing.
Nice.
And that thing is like, I bet I could put Linux on it. I'll tell you about that towards the end. But up first. Well.
What you up to, Vin? You've got a lot going on. This is what I was up to, Jill.
I made one of these. Look at it.
Yes, you did.
Look at that amazing art that I did on it. That looks like it came right out of the factory. What are we talking about? I built my own Steam brick.
Yay.
Go watch the video if you get a chance over on Interfacing Linux, the Geek Deck. And of course, it had to work with my Steam controller. And I had a great time making this. Got some great feedback because, you know, Jill, here's something I didn't think about. Now,
what then?
We all know, you got a Steam Deck, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I love the Steam Deck. I've been a champion of the Steam Deck. Since day one, I said, I'm not buying one. Why? I'm just not into handhelds. I'm not. I said, if I bought one, I'd be looking for something to do with it other than use it as a handheld. I'm just not into like portable gaming. Never been my thing. I had a Game Boy DG1. That was it. So since day one, I said, Valve, because they talked about like dev kits. I'm like, I want the Steam brick. Give me a good mini PC running Steam OS. And a couple of weeks ago, Valve came out and they're like, go F around and find out. You can download it. And we think it's kind of ready if you have AMD, maybe some Intel hardware. And I just finished the review of the 2025 edition of the GeekCom A5, which had the, updated mobile Ryzen 7 bits in it. And it was, really good computer, really good value, just under $300. I put Steam OS on it. I walked everybody through it. I did the full write-up on Interfacing Linux, just, hey, this is how it went. This is how you got to do it. You disable secure boot. And what it was like getting it up and running. Did some game test. I did some in-home streaming test with the machine in here in the studio. And I also tried GeForce Now, aka GeForce Now, and it worked an absolute treat. 3D gaming, 2D gaming, all of it's been, here's me playing Fork Knife for the first time and just shooting a Star Destroyer because that's how I roll in that game. And something I recently added, when I posted the video on YouTube, somebody came back and they said, Vin. I said, yes, YouTube commenter, go ahead and tell me I did something wrong. I know, it's a YouTube comment, right? And they're like, could you check something that no one has bothered to check? Because, this is not an original idea of like, hey, let's put Steam OS on a PC and watch it burn and catch on fire. I was like, what happens if somebody who knows what they're doing does it? And then like, this was the end result. But he said, nobody else has done this. I'd like you to check this out. And this is something I didn't think about because it's a gaming console, Jill, is one of the coolest features of the Steam Deck. Save states. You just hit the power button. It'll save your game right there.
Oh, yeah. That was a good question.
You go boop, and you want to come back to play. You don't have to go to save. You power it back on. It goes into hibernation, but it like does an effective save state. And you just pick up where you left off. I was like, that made me plug it back up and hook it back up. And I tested it. Works fine. Works great.
Wonderful. That's good
no
to
problem
hear.
whatsoever. And something I brought up, and I'm going to touch on real quick, and I talked about it a bit more on Linux Gamecast, if you want to go listen to that, is using SteamOS as the desktop, Joe, and not to do it, and why it's a bad idea. When you go to the SteamOS page on Valve, WebZone, right in the first paragraph, they tell you, don't use this as a desktop. Whatever you do, don't do this as a desktop. And of course, if you go to Interfacing Linux, click on the article, scroll down, it's timestamped to where Linus, the squeaky one, not this one, is like, oh, do we have to wait on that? And I'm like, no, let's not wait on that. Let's do it a challenge. We'll run it as our desktop for an entire month, you guys. It'll make great video and the engagement will be wonderful because we're willfully misrepresenting something for engagement, because that's what they're going to be doing. Guaranteed. All right. That is fun. But I teased everybody, Joe, while you were up.
Oh, okay.
I did. I teased him a little bit. I was like, I'm going to give you a scavenger hunt. You ever done a scavenger? I've never actually done, not like a meat space scavenger hunt. Oh, okay, in video games, I do them all the time, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I think Nemo called it a fetch quest. Yeah, fetch quest. We've all.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Sure. Let's do it. This is going to be a soft launch. I haven't even announced it to anybody else. You're going to get the first crack at it. So, you ready? Is everybody in front of a computer?
Exciting?
Maybe. Actually, this is going to be a little bit of a race. This is going to be a hunt. Everybody's in front of a keyboard, right? So you'll be able to type the word second, SECO, a second after, the one that comes after first. Okay?
Yeah.
Why? Why would you do that? Well, I just clicked go on the Interfacing Linux Discord.
Oh, nice. Wonderful.
But I'm not going to tell you where it's at. You have to figure out how to get to it. It is going to be a public Discord for you to get in. Get in on the ground level, everybody. Link it up, set it in. So I want to see who's going to be the first person to type the word second, because the only thing in there right now is my first post saying first.
Oh, okay.
And we'll check back at the end of the show for who's the best sleuth. And during the live show, I'm sure somebody's going to be able to figure it out and transmogrify those data bits and put the clues together and be like, second. Take that. It'll be a good time.
I'm guessing Scott's going to be first, because he often is.
Okay. He might be. Yeah. I don't know. The race is on. The gauntlet has been thrown. How about you, Jill? I saw you playing a little bit more your video games, so you feeling a little bit better? You sounding a little bit better?
Yeah, I do sound better. But after LWW last week, I totally lost my voice for like 3 or 4 days. It was bad. But finally, I've got it mostly back, and I'm feeling a lot better now, even though I might not sound that great. But yeah, it's been fun playing Genshin. I found some new beautiful lands with mushrooms, and it kind of reminded me of the Underdark from Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh,
so that was cool. Yeah.
I had to think of like the Underdark, and I'm like, there's probably a couple of those. Baldur's Gate?
Yeah.
Yep. When I think about mushrooms in video games, I think about the fungal wastelands or the forest in Hollow Knight.
Oh, yeah. That's another one, yeah.
Because there's a horrible character that I hate dealing with. They run at you and like, rah! And they make this horrible noise. And like they've killed me to death too many times to where I have like trauma.
Oh, okay.
It's great. Hurry up and release Soap Song. I need more of that trauma. Okay. Let's go ahead and hop into it this week. Ladies and gentlemen, you know me. I love FireWire. I'm a huge fan of it, champion of it. Not in a hipster way, not because, I don't think it's, your videos look better when the data is transferred over a FireWire cable, or your audio sounds better through a FireWire audio interface. It's just that FireWire support has, they haven't made a FireWire device in like almost, 12, 13 years. Audio interfaces are great. But audio technology, despite like what the manufacturers are trying to tell you, when you actually pull the specs up and like stick them next to each other, 20 years apart, you're like, that's kind of the same. I'm like, yeah, it is, isn't it? I'm like, You're like, yeah, right. Think about it. So on Linux, we still have excellent FireWire support. So we're able to take these FireWire interfaces that, people on Windows has dropped FireWire support, and Mac users, they're phasing out for Thunderbolt. Apple's been able to hang out because they're FireWire to Thunderbolt adapters. Why? Because Apple was smart enough not to tick off their core audience. And,
but now
they got to get ticked off. Jill, macOS Tahoe Beta drops FireWire support. And this is tragic. This is sad news for hipsters and their Gen 1 iPods. What are they going to do? They're going to be, so pouty, insufferable. And FireWire 400, 800 in the latest Tahoe beta. So I did a little bit of looking around. The last Mac with a FireWire port was released in 2012. Do not look up how long ago that was. That was like 3 years ago. Don't worry about it. And like I said, people have just been making do. They don't even think about it. You just buy the, I'm sure it's like $300-$400 adapters, and you plug it in, you're good to go. And it just plugs right into your Thunderbolt. So yeah, keep an eye out on eBay for people selling, because some people are really going to like legitimately use this as an excuse to go, oh, okay, I guess I'll buy a new interface. Then you get to pick up like $700, $800, $900 interfaces for like $150, $200, somewhere in there. Like this one right here, this is a Motu 828 MK3. Now, they make one called the Motu 828X, Jill. It's Thunderbolt, okay? It's $900. This I bought for $200. Why? Because
that's great.
FireWire, exactly the same interface. They just changed the plugs on the back. So yeah, FireWire, alive and well on Linux. If you're up for learning something new, check out all my guides over on interfacing Linux, because apparently I'm just shilling interfacing Linux today, Jill, or whatever. What do you think?
Well, this is sad news for Mac, but good news for Linux, of course, as Ben was just talking about. I had actually hooked up my FireWire iPod on Linux years ago to add music to it. I have several first, second, third gen iPods laying around. And actually, my first gen iPad Nano from 2005 has Podzilla Linux on it from the iPod Linux project, and it's still running on there. So you can go to our show notes and find out where that project is to keep those devices alive, either installing Linux on them or being able to access them on Linux, so you can still listen to music on them and use them. that is very important.
That's wild.
And Linux
people are
makes
keeping those things alive.
Yeah.
I never had really the iPod. I miss that one, everybody. Like, I don't have any problem. Like, I have a pretty good track record because I have this strategy of doing my best to only talk about stuff. Sometimes I can be pragmatic. Sometimes I can tell you stuff you don't want to hear, but like, over the stretch of time, I'm not wrong a whole lot. But again, I try to only sharpen with things I know about. I thought I knew, man. I thought I knew that iPod was going to fail. We had the Rio Diamond, Joe.
Yeah.
Hard drive based, big, it was like Apple with a dumb little funky thing. You got to buy it because you did have to buy a Mac at the time. And I'm like, no, it'll never catch on. Wrong, dead wrong. Here we are, 2025. Absolutely.
We're doing a podcast.
Yeah, dude. Wild times. You better not need any 32-bit drivers to get your iPod up and running, people. There's a proposal for dropping 32-bit multilib and no longer building i686 for good old Fedora 44. Ah, man. So, I was reading through the proposal. This is going to benefit the Fedora project because, hey, man, less work. They say any 32-bit package installed on x86-64, this is the proposal, will just get removed during the next upgrade. Well, they upgrade to 44, so that's something you might want to be on the lookout for. And right off the bat, they say this is probably going to, well, not probably, it will cause problems with Wine if you run Wine for emulation stuff. Even though WoW64 does exist, it's a workaround, and they still need to iron out the gremlins on the Wine side of the WoW64 bit, but it is there, and I've been reading through a bunch of comments. This is great. This is what a proposal's for, to get the feedback. And like right off the bat, I saw the FexEMU, the ARM to x86 devs chime in saying, like, this will mess up the Fedora rootfs, which is not like a big thing that you've got to worry about because there's a bunch of different ones they can choose from. However, the founder of Bazite was like, yeah, we're out.
Yeah.
We're out. If this goes through, I'm just going to go do something else. And like, that's up to them. But maybe they can find a workaround. And I saw a Mesa, your graphics stack people, devs say, that it's going to cause some issues like debugging 32-bit apps, and like they have to deal with that a lot, and they're like, well, I have to pick a different distribution for that. But as I said, this is a proposal, so get in there, share your thoughts, and if you're asking me, I say do it, cowards. I dare you. I double dare you. Why? I said the same thing. What was it, 6-7 years ago when Canonical with Ubuntu, they're like, we're going to do this. We're going to chop this off, i686 32-bit. what did I say back then? I said, somebody's got to try it. Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to put that line down and go, no more. Or we're just all going to hang on to it. Now, one of the big things, Joe, is an application that I think a lot of people listening to this show might open up from time to time.
Steam and OBS.
OBS is not really going to be a problem. Like that, that stretched it right there. You can do OBS, but Steam, dude.
Steam's the issue. Yeah.
And what happened then was, because if you look, you start digging around on like the Steam Debian package, there's a lot of like Ubuntu stuff, and because Steam, like that was the official recommended distribution was Ubuntu for Steam. Like right up until that, not right up until that point, but like very shortly after that, Valve, like, by the way, we use Arch now. So, I would love Valve to go, oh man, this is the signal we've been waiting for to make a 64-bit client for Linux. I'll believe that when I see it. But yeah, I mean, what do you think, Joe?
To me, this just reminds me of Ubuntu trying to deprecate 32-bit all over again quite a few years ago. And, it would be interesting if Valve honestly could be convinced to bring the Steam client on Linux to 64-bit. A lot of these problems would be eliminated. But, it's honestly, I understand why they have it because of old games and new games for that matter. But the truth is the step is just too drastic and the pieces are not in place to support 32-bit removal. And I think the community outcry will stop it from happening since it's still in the proposal phase anyways. So yeah, this was really, really big news. I was surprised by this last night when I was reading about it.
Kind of
like, oh boy.
Nowhere,
haven't they learned from Ubuntu?
No. Listen, Jill. Frank says right here, obey.
Obey, yes.
Store.linuxgamecast.com if you want your own Obey Fedora shirt. I'm not against this at all. Admittedly, I'm a bit of a chaos monkey. Hands down, but like, somebody's got to do it. And like, Fedora's always been like, that was like one of the things Fedora maintainers popped in. Like, we didn't set out to be a gaming distro, guys. Like, we're supposed to be, upstream of what's going on with Red Hat and all the other bits. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I want him to do it. Maybe one of the solutions is to pack everything into a flat pack with Steam. Maybe they can do that. Maybe they do that. OBS is already in a flat pack thing.
Yeah, Steam there is a flat pack and there's a snap for it. So those do exist. But I guess there would be some issues with game scope and whatnot. So
I don't know, man. I'm down for it. Like if you would have asked me like, 20 years ago, like, so, because, whenever you bought your first AMD 64, my first single core, my 64-bit AMD CPU, it was great. And I remember installing Fedora. It had to have been like Core 3, Core 2 or something like that at the time.
Yeah.
And like, none of my codecs worked. I couldn't play videos. I was like, no, this is horrible. And yeah, we'll see. There'll be a link in the show notes. But Fedora 44, that's such a small number when we compare it to 3 billion. I can't do Dr. Evil.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, this is huge news. Flathub, a centralized repository for Linux app distribution, has reached 3 billion downloads. Wow. That is 1 billion up from last year in June when it reached 2 billion downloads, which was 1 billion up from the previous year. Pretty impressive. So, Flathub serves as the official app store for the Flatpak ecosystem, which offers universal compatibility, sandboxing, easy installation, and automatic updates. And Flathub hosts thousands of applications, including major ones like Firefox, GIMP, LibreOffice, Steam, Discord, and Spotify. And there are not only open source apps, but proprietary ones as well. And Flathub has just become so popular worldwide, with the United States, Germany, and Brazil being the top 3 countries for downloads. And there honestly are many reasons why Flatpak has reached a 3 billion download milestone, such as thousands of app availability, accessibility for everyone, transparent safety, and just really easy updates, as well as being easy to maintain for developers. Not to mention, it has over 1 million active users and many Linux distributions pre-install Flathub like Linux Mint, Pop! OS, and Fedora. And it is the official repository for the popular Steam Deck and supports many devices, including, of course, Linux workstations, the Raspberry Pi, and Linux phones. So it's so flexible. That is why it has caught on so quickly. So 3 billion, that's huge. That's just in a few years, Ben. I was amazed by that.
Yeah, no, whatever. Sudo apt get install snap, whatever.
Yeah.
Snap's underground. Too many people use Flatpak. I only use like hipster desktop containerization, so I'm going to use Snap from now on. Flatpak if you need it. You're never going to convince me containerized applications on the desktop makes sense, but lesser of two evils in that case. If you got to pick one, if you're on a Steam Deck, if you're on a Chromebook, you're on something like that.
Yeah.
All day long, man. All day long.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Regular S desktop, no, I don't want to deal with it. Here's where I dealt with Flatpak earlier this week. Do you know what it was? I'll tell you what it was. All right.
What it was.
What it was.
What was it then?
No, what it was,
what it was.
What it was. All right. Somebody on YouTube, they were like, hey, man, they were trying to install audio plugins in Reaper. You know, we got Reaper running over here. We run a bunch of different little plugins, you know, like compressors and things like that. And like, I followed your guide for getting the Windows plugins transmogrified to work on Linux, and I put them in the directory, and I can't see them in Reaper. And I just wrote back, and I'm like, my man, you didn't do anything silly like install Reaper through an unofficial Flatpak, did you? Period. Like 20 minutes later, so I installed it from the website. Everything's working great, Vin. Thanks. And I'm like, no problem, man. No problem. I've answered that question more times than I remember. Because you do run into things like that. And that we've talked about that. Maybe not so much with Snap, but all of you remember, like, you kind of get what you deserve. But remember when we were talking about the crypto wallets, right? And
yeah.
Like people downloading like the unofficial ones, and they had, you know, spooky stuff, and it might have been snaps at the time, but like all the unofficial, like fan-made stuff, which there's nothing wrong with it, right? There's nothing wrong with somebody taking Reaper and like, I'm going to make a Flatpak of it to make it easier to install, but it prevents things like working with plugins unless you go and blow some holes in it and do some other, and I'm like, if somebody asked me how to do that, I'm like, God, I had no idea, dude. That's like 13 extra steps for no reason. Support the official release. So you got to be, you know, keep that in mind.
You got to keep,
Flatpak 1. Ubuntu's still going to do snaps, but you can install Flatpak on Ubuntu. I've done it.
Exactly.
Go use it. Become 3 billion and 1. Now,
yeah.
before we get out of here, though, it has been a while. You're guilty of it. You're guilty. You're not guilty of it. You should be guilty of it, but you're not. And you're guilty of it too. Jill's guilty of it. You're not getting out of this.
Uh-oh.
When you walk by a bit of hardware and you think to yourself, I bet I could put Linux on here. I bet I could.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could put Linux on that. Yeah. It's a disease. It's a sickness. It's an illness that you got to fight. Well, not Chris. No, sir. Chris Nording. He decided to put Linux on a Behringer X32. He looked at the rear of his X32. He did. He saw this. Now,
yeah.
And he's like, what's that other USB-B hole do? Huh. I bet I could probably get up to something if I could figure out, you know, because like your first thought is like, so that's the one they don't want me to mess with? How are we going to go about that? So like a lot of adventures, you know, he saw the rear of that. He's like, I'm going to go figure out what that hole does. And if you don't know about the X32, it's a 40 input, 25 bus digital mixing console with 32 programmable Midas preamps, 25 motorized faders, channel LCDs, a desk lamp, and a display. So like short story long, he, pinged it. He looked at the USB's vendor ID. They kind of hinted at like, hey man, I'm sitting in front of a ARM device, might be sitting behind me. So this guy just like goes out and writes his own bare metal test program to just blindly send voltages to the LED. He was like, maybe it won't catch on fire and blow up. I'm like, this thing's like $1,600, dude. You got him, man. I mad respect. And lo and behold, the desk lamp, which is built into it, caught on. Dude was off to the races after that, man. He was off to the races after that. You got U-boot, cross-compiling, hunted down some clocks, the LCD drivers, and bam. Ladies and gentlemen, I scroll down just a bit. There it is.
Yeah, there's the Tux Penguin.
Yeah, the little Tux Penguin coming up on the display built into the unit. And, naturally in like 3, 2, 1. Yeah, of course, he's got Super Mario Bros. Running on it.
Yes.
Super Mario Bros. Running on it, which you lose like 4 internet cool points from that because we both know that should have been Doom. Okay?
Yes.
As oxygen pervades Earth's atmosphere, so should Doom. I remember reading that in the shareware because I'm old and get off my lawn. So there's still a couple things to do. This is of course, you got Hello World. And he's like, man, I can do display drivers for this. Like, he's just getting into this. And of course, this is a guy who like made his own module for the X32. This is a really cool piece of hardware. I'm always super impressed when somebody walks by something, I see people like hacking on their cars and hacking on stuff like this, I'm like $200 to $300 price range of like, I got to be able to replace this in case I smoke it. But yeah, getting in, digging around, doing this. What could this lead to? Well, if you could find a way to bring up the FPGA on this for the audio bits, it's not out of the question that you could basically initialize this for the audio functionality and get access to all of those motorized faders, which are dope. I got the on a budget version of an X32. This is the X32, not even X32. This is just the X Touch Compact. They didn't even finish it.
Okay.
It doesn't have a T on it. That's how budget it is, Jill. They saved money by not printing the T. It's just the Compact. And, it's got like 9 motorized faders and a bunch of buttons and stuff like that. But no fancy. I can't run Super Mario Bros. On this, unfortunately. So seeing this made me happy. And yeah, being able to get Linux up and running on one of these. And just doing the reverse engineering for it. And yeah, love it. Makes me happy. Love to see it. chris.dev.blog or chris.devblog.com. Link in the show notes. Go check it out. Wild times. Love to see it. Well, there we go. We did it in a reasonable amount of time. Yeah, just under 30 minutes, 29 minutes, right around there. Before we get out of here. If you like the show, you want to support the show, keep us loud, live, and independent, patreon.com/Linux Gamecast. You can find everything on linuxgamecast.com under that support tab. You get our undying gratitude, your name in the credits, and a bunch of bonus things that are thrown in over there, like the live and uncut version of the show. You get a non-YouTube version for the video if you want to download it. Better quality audio, better quality video. All the other niceties, access to our super secret Discord. Oh, and that reminds me, speaking of a non-super, well, you know what? Can we just call it a secret Discord? Because super secret is our Linux Gamecast weekly, daily Wednesdays. Why? Because super secret is, it's not linked anywhere. You have to be a patron, Twitch sub, or a paid YouTube subscriber. Also, we don't talk about it. So the Interfacing Linux Discord is just secret because I'm not going to tell you where it's at. And
yeah. And DeCresney in chat said he made second. We'll have to see.
Well, I'll have to inspect that in just a second. If you skip to the end, like right at the beginning and threw down the gauntlet, and I was like, let's see who's going to be the first person to get in. And it is Dak. All right.
Cool, Dak. You're awesome.
Well done. You got it says DeCresney Maths. Love to see it. Love to see it. So that one's open. It's public if you want to pop in there. I'm still setting it up. So if you want to be the idea guy or gal and come in and be like, hey man, maybe try this. I'm like, this is the time to do it. This is the time to do it.
Yeah.
I'll figure out because I know sometimes people just want to pop in, take a look at whatever I'm working on. They got some questions or just like, hey, this is cool. Go check it out. And like right now, what do I got? Like single board computing, like Linux audio, gaming, stuff like that. So go play with it. If you can find it, I'm not going to tell you how to get into the Interfacing Linux Discord. It's going to be up to you to find one of the bazillion links floating around the internet. But I got faith in you. All right, Jill, bouncy music time. Store.linuxgamecast.com. Go get your Fedora 44 no more shirt. I knew that shirt was going to come in handy one day. All right. Time for some credits.
Thank you to our Patreon advisor, our Theron, our executive producers, Barbrandt, Scott, Atomic, 12345, KR Decky, our Chicago Kicks Mules level, Glorious Egg Roll, Basil, Empty, our Sea Monsters, John, Dementor, System T, Veritanuda, our Death Notes. We got Steve Husband in chat.
Jill and Steve. Yeah. All of our beautiful cheerlings. Beckett, Tim, Jason, Colin. You're all beautiful. Yeah. You're all lovely. Come check us out live if you get a chance. Listen to us after the fact. Drop us a like on the YouTube video. Maybe go sub over there if you haven't. It'd be brilliant. Leave a comment. Hashtag LinWDW or just at LinWDW. Hashtag, if it works, just it works. Yeah, if the YouTube police show up, you try to go to YouTube and hit it, and they're like, you can't do that. I'll vouch for you. Don't worry about it. Till next week, everybody, have a great one. See you then.
Bye-bye. Love you all. Keep those penguins marching.